Hey, this is Zachlog the Great. Many would label my political opinions these days extreme. Of course, the accuracy of this label can be disputed. There is the joke I've seen a dozen times of, I'm not an extremist, I'm just a normal guy from 30 years ago. And in some ways, that accurately describes me. There is more to it, though, than just opinions on specific political issues. I'd say the basic question is, how do you regard the opposition, or even those in power generally? And I suppose in this regard, it may be more accurate to call me an extremist. I no longer regard them as opponents. Many of those in opposition, and almost all of those in power, I consider enemies. What's the difference? An opponent you wish to defeat in a contest. An enemy you wish to destroy. And looking back, I think I can pinpoint where my radicalization began. So I thought I'd share that story. In August 2012, a man named Floyd Corkins II attempted a mass shooting at the offices of the Family Research Council in Washington, D.C. Thank God, a brave security guard was able to stop Corkins before he was able to do more than wound the security guard himself. Corkins, it turns out, had chosen his target as a purveyor of anti-gay hate from a map provided by the SPLC, the Southern Poverty Law Center. That is, there is a direct link between the Southern Poverty Law Center and an attempted mass murder. A politically motivated attempted mass murder, which by most people's definition is terrorism, specifically of people who shared my politics. Now, this in itself was not what radicalized me. I mean, crazy evil people are going to do crazy evil things. And you'll find people like that in all camps, on all sides. It's just the reality of human nature. What one of those people did is not what bothered me. Now, if one particular ideology starts generating a lot of those kind of people, that's a different question. Separate topic. No. What absolutely turned my stomach and what started my radicalization was the complete and total indifference of the news media to this event. A man directly inspired by a powerful political group attempted mass murder for political reasons in Washington, D.C. And the news media just didn't care. No interest at all. At the time, I worked in an office environment where you'd expect most people to be informed about news and current events. Literally, nobody I worked with had heard about this until I brought it up. Because the news just wasn't covering it. And I realized then that these people who ran these places just didn't care. That the attempted mass murder for holding political opinions like mine was utterly uninteresting to them, and that if me or my family were murdered for similar reasons, they similarly wouldn't care. They would do their best to just completely ignore it, to bury it, and make sure it was never heard of. In fact, as I thought more about it, I realized that if they had any opinion at all on my murder on political grounds, it would only be to consider it a punchline. And that's when I first started to realize that these people, these institutions, were not just opponents in a contest where each side tries to win. These were enemies. These were people who wanted me and mine dead. And the only logical response at that point is to assume the same attitude towards them. It's been over 10 years since then. And there have been a lot of other things that solidified this radicalization, that confirmed to me that those on the opposite side are not honorable opponents, but despicable monsters. And showed that the membership of this wicked group extends farther than I had initially guessed. But that was the moment of a fundamental shift in perspective. Who radicalized me? Asks the media. You did.